Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to try to solve some puzzles on chess.com as part of my daily chess development. If you're new to chess or you're a lower rated player than I am, hopefully you'll get something out of me talking through my thought processes as I do this. And, if you're higher rated, maybe you can spot some things that I miss and help explain them to me. Here on chess.com, I have got my puzzle rating above 1900. I don't know how far I'll make it in this video, but we're going to do our best. And if you're new here, I'm not a titled player or chess coach like some other chess YouTubers. I'm just a random person trying to get better at chess. Maybe there's a graphic there that says that. What I do when I solve puzzles is I try to use my checklist, which is I look for checks, captures, and threats, and sometimes it helps to know how much danger I'm in. In this case, I don't know. Let's see. Yes, I am in danger. I'm in danger of being checkmated on the next move, so I need to be very, very careful. Let's look at our checks first. As I said, I have a check here with the rook on b1. It looks like they would just take it, but then I could check again with my queen on b8, and they would only have two choices, and then I think I would have checkmate, so that looks pretty good. Because otherwise what I'm going to have to do is, come over here and defend against checkmate. And then they would probably trade queens with me, and who knows what would happen after that. But is that my only check? I think that rook to b1 is my only check in this position. And let's just be clear, the king cannot escape because my knight's covering both of those squares. And then bringing my queen down to b2 would be checkmate. So let's try that. Queen to b8. And then this is checkmate. Okay, mate in 3. I don't always find those, but it's gratifying when you do. Next puzzle. Okay, in this one, my opponent has definitely more material than I do because of the queen. However, I do have some checks. I have this check, which looks like it wins the queen, but it would come at the cost of material. For example, if they took this pawn to get out of check and I took their queen and they took my rook, they would have a passed pawn, but I'd be able to get behind it. But then they could come check me and capture this pawn. Let's see, what else? I have this check up here, which protects my f pawn, which is in turn protecting the g pawn, which is in turn protecting the rook. And the rook would be cutting off, all of these squares, and this rook is cutting off all of these squares. So I think if I checked on f6 with this rook, the only legal move would be to come forward to g4. Then I could check with my rook on g3, and they would only have two legal moves to go to the h file, and then I would bring that rook back over there, and I think that's mate. So I think this is a mate in 1, 2, not this one, sorry. I think it would have to be bringing that one back over. I think this one is a mate in 3. Do they have any other recourse after I bring this rook over to f6? No, they can't capture it. They obviously can't block because it's too close. They would have to go to g5. And then if I checked here, do they have any other legal moves? They can't capture this pawn because the rook on f6 is protecting it, and my king is protecting this rook. So they would have to go to the h file, and I think that's checkmate. Let's try it. Okay. And then this. Mate in 3 also. Oh, and I got 8 points for that one. Very nice. Next puzzle. I'm playing with the white pieces. Ooh, they are about to get a queen, so I am in some danger, except currently I am protecting, or I'm guarding that square with my rook. But I guess they could come down here and protect the promotion square. But let's see what I have. I do have some checks. This is a check protected by the knight. However, that takes my rook's eye off of their d pawn that's about to promote. My knight would be protecting the rook, which would be cutting off all of these squares. So the king would only have one legal move, and that would be to come up here to h7. Which is attacking my knight. And if I followed with this protected check, they would just take my knight. And I could check again, but they could take that too. So what if I checked and they came up to h7 and I protected the knight? Then it doesn't matter what they do, I would have mate on the next turn. I'm pretty sure. Let's try that. Yeah, I think I have to defend the knight. They can promote at that point, but they cannot check me. They can't capture the knight or the rook on this turn. So let's protect the knight with the h pawn. Oh, very sneaky. Now what do? Oh, I just take the free rook, right? Because I can't checkmate them. So I take the rook. Then I guess they promote, but then I still have mate. So let's take the rook. They did promote, and this is still checkmate. Okay, that was mate in 3+, wasn't it? Yeah, mate in 4. Wow. Next puzzle. I'm going to look for checks. I have a check down here with the rook on e8. I think those are my only checks. I guess let's just look at them. If I check here with the queen to g7, I assume they would capture with their queen. I think that would be their only legal move. Then I could take their queen with my rook, But then they would take that too, and then I would only have one rook left to their 2 rooks. I could check again. The king would have 4 legal moves at that point, and I don't think I would have a follow-up. So I am just not sure what we should do. But yeah, I think those are my only checks. Now, if this front f-pawn wasn't in the way, I would have a check down there, but that rook is defended also. So it might not be a check on the first move. At least it isn't looking like it. Well, the second thing on the checklist is captures. I don't have any captures except for the g7 pawn. So are there threats here? I don't really see any threats either, and that's one thing that I'm really weak at looking for, is how to just to move a piece into a different position and say, oh, from there, after that, I'll be able to do, X, Y, or Z. I am definitely weak on that. My problem is that they have 2 defenders on that square, and I only have 2 attackers. But I can add an attacker to that square by putting my rook on e7, which is not a check, but it is a threat, I believe, because it adds that necessary 3rd attacker, and I was going to say I don't think they can add a defender to it, but they can. They can bring either rook up here to b7, protected by the other rook. Okay, let me think about that. If I play rook to e7, which adds another attacker. Oh, wait, their rook can't see this square, though. So if they did bring, let's say the front rook up here, the b3 rook back, because if they brought the other rook up, then I have a safe check on the back rank, I think. So rook to e7, threatening an eventual favorable trade here, I guess, because when they take with the queen, then I would take with my other rook, and they would be protecting each other. So after rook to e7, let's say they bring this front rook back, the 3rd rank rook back to the 7th rank. But then while my rook is in between that and g7, I would check with the queen, but then they would take, I assume, and then I would take with check. They would have to get out of check, and then I would take that other rook. Does that work? I don't know that that's what they would play, but I think that might be what I would play. So I'm going to try rook to e7. Oh, they brought their back rook up. Well, should I still try my plan, or should I check them back here? Because they've left the back rank. But if I check them back there, their king can just come out. So I don't know if that's good or not. Yeah, I think that doesn't work because, like I said, the king comes out, and then what's that rook doing on e8? It's not doing anything, and I've helped them add a defender to this square. But going back to my original plan, I guess it didn't really matter which rook they brought to b7. Either way, it still can't see g7. So if I check now, it would be mate if the queen wasn't there, right? So their only legal move will be to capture with the queen. And then I think while my e-rook is still blocking their rook from seeing g7, I would come down with my g-rook and check. And then after they move out of check, I would take their rook. And if they took back, I would take back, and I would be the only one with the rook left. I think that's how this is going to play out. Okay, they did take, and I think I have to take with this one. Because if I take with the e-rook, then they take, and they're up a rook. So I think I'd have to take with the g-rook. Okay, and it stopped there. Wow. Okay, that one was tough. And I'm kind of surprised that I saw that. But I think what I had to do was diagnose that my problem was I didn't have enough attackers on the g7 square, and I could add one. So, and I think we did it. So good job for me. And hopefully that helped some of you. Next puzzle. I feel like I have something in my eye. That's probably an eyelash or something. That's irritating. They've just captured something here, and I can't take back because this pawn is pinned by that rook. So again, we're going to look at checks first, and I do have this check with the queen. I think that's my only check. So let's say queen to c3 check. What legal moves do they have? Well, the king can't move, so they would have to block. None of their other pieces can get in that diagonal except this pawn. The f-pawn could block, but if the f-pawn blocked, I would just take it. So let's say if I check on c3 that they block with the rook, which makes a little more sense, then what do I do? And right now my queen is the only thing preventing checkmate, so moving it makes me nervous. But I think that's my only check. Okay, do I have any captures? I can capture that pawn. Wait, I could attack their queen with the rook, but then it just moves, I guess? Okay, sorry, I didn't go through the full checklist. I think those are my only 2 captures, and this one just loses the knight. This one takes a free pawn, but it doesn't do anything else, and that's why I didn't really consider it. But so my only check is easily blocked, and I don't see a follow-up to that. And they still have mate, because even though that rook would be pinned down there, it is technically protecting their queen. So if I did that and they blocked, I would have to do something fast to guard against mate here, like bringing the rook down. Well, once again, I'm kind of stymied. I really don't know what else to do here, especially with this pending mate threat. I'm going to run through the checklist again. I've paused the video and I ran through it several times in my head, but I think rather than just picking a move and going, I'm going to keep plugging away at this. Back to checks. Pretty sure that's my only one. Pretty sure they block with the rook. Sorry, let me fix my colors here. Check on queen to c3 check. They block with the rook. Okay, wait. My brain just skipped a couple of steps ahead, and I'm trying to outline those steps to myself before I say them out loud, because sometimes your brain, well, often your brain runs faster than your mouth. But what I think what I thought here was that the reason I can't take the queen is because their rook is pinned. I mean, because my pawn is pinned by their rook. And the pawn is still pinned even after this, because again, in chess, that rook, even though it is also pinned, it is still protecting this square in the event of a check. So if I check on c3 and they move up, I can't take the queen, because then they could take my king before I took theirs if taking kings was allowed. However, if I check and they move up, I can take the rook, because the only thing protecting it's the king. And when their king takes, there's nothing keeping this pawn from taking that queen anymore. So I would get the rook and the queen for my queen. That's the only thing I can come up with, and I hope that's right, because I'm going to check on c3 with my queen. Okay, and they did block. Oh, this is a big deal, but I know a lot of puzzles revolve around sacrifices. But right after that, I should be able to take the queen. Because again, we're going to look at checks, captures, and threats on every turn. And this is a check and a capture. And it's very forcing. They only have one legal response, and that allows me to take their queen. Let's see, I'm going to have a rook, a bishop, a knight, and a rook left. And they're only going to have 3 pieces left. So I'll be ahead at that point. Whereas right now we're even. Okay, let's take the rook. Oh, okay. I thought it was going to keep going. Because surely when they took back, then I would have a best move. Kind of curious about that. Analysis board. Let's go here, because they only have one legal move. And after they take back, surely my best move is taking the queen. No, it's not. Well, it is, but not by much. That's why the puzzle didn't continue, because f6 apparently is just as good as taking the queen. I don't know why, though, because even though that's protected by both the rook and the knight, and so it would force the king back somewhere, it gets out of the way of the bishop taking back this pawn. So I don't know why f6 is almost just as good. And it doesn't say they would take it. It says they would just go here. I would have to follow that out quite a bit before I would understand it. And I'm not going to today because I want to keep doing puzzles. I've already used up more than 20 minutes on my end, so next. Okay, I'm in check. That's the first thing about this. So it doesn't matter whether I have checks, captures, or threats, because I'm in check. And I have to get out of check. I have... looks like 3 ways to get out of check in this puzzle. I can't move left or right, obviously. I can go up to f2 with my king, which they could then follow up, and then I could get out of check over to g3, or I could block the check with my rook. I mean, it also threatens their queen. I don't know, because I think I have mate in 1 here, right? If I wasn't in check. Like right now, if that queen was over here someplace, say h6, I have a mate in 1, because my queen's cutting off all of this and their escape square. So if I bring my rook down to f1, oh no, they could check me again. Then what would I do? Block again? Then we would have a repetition. Okay, so maybe it's this. I can also block with my queen, but I think on that case they would just take, and then I don't have the mate threat anymore. So what about king to f2? Said they can check again with the rook or the queen, and I could get out to g3. Now, if they had checked with the queen, then they could come, oh, they wouldn't want to, but they could go back there and check again. They could go back here and check again, or they could go over there. So right now, if I go to f2 and they check again with their queen, and I go to g3, then they can check up here. Oh, no, I would just take it with my queen. So I think in a game, I probably would have automatically blocked with the rook, but because I have a mate threat, they want the repetition. But I think moving the king might be a stronger move, because if they come down and check with the rook, they don't have another check after this, or do they? Oh, they do. Oh, that's probably not that good, is it? I don't know. Maybe I could come over 1, but then they could check here, and I would have to take with the... Okay, well, that got a little more complicated than I thought it would be. But I know if I block with the rook, they can check again with their queen. And then if I block again with the rook, they can check again with the queen. And we can have a repetition, which I don't want, because I have a mate threat. So I want to get out with my king, and I hope that's right. We'll find out in a second. It was not right. Oh my. It says show solution. Oh, they've changed the button, I think. I don't remember it looking like that. I'm just going to go to the analysis board because the only other choice was to block with one of those pieces, so I don't need to guess at the solution. After they played here, rook to f1 was the best move. Okay, well, why wouldn't they repeat? It says I'm still at +5 if they check up here on d4. Oh, because now I can just move over and they can't check again. Oh my. Now their best move is to play queen to d5 and I would just take it. They would take me. Then I would check them down here and win their other rook. Wow. Okay, so if we replay this, so I should have blocked here. Oh, and they would have gone up and then I go to h1 and they would have gone there. Oh wow, it would have continued. Here I wouldn't have known what to do either because now I don't have the mate because their queen's guarding that square. So I would have to figure out that taking the queen is best because when they took, I would have this check that wins their other rook. Like so. Wow, that puzzle would have kept going. My goodness. But yeah, that's what I didn't see is that after they checked, I could just move over and there were no more checks. Okay, well, I've got a few minutes left on my end. Let's hit another puzzle and see if we can't recover the points that we lost on this one. I'm playing with the white pieces. All I have left is a bishop and some pawns. Well, I don't have any checks, so that, removes that option. I also don't have any captures except this pawn right here on g6, which I don't know if that'd be the best move or not. They'd take back, and then I would move this pawn, and I'd kind of be stuck, I think. I think I need to move this pawn. That's what I think I need to do, because I can't move the other pawn. Moving this bishop doesn't, I don't think, accomplish anything, but I think I need to move my h-pawn because they can't stop it. They can take my g-pawn. But none of their pieces are in a position to be able to get to my h-pawn. I think what they're going to do when I push this is push their a-pawn, which I would take. But we'll see. Oh, it just stopped. Okay. Well, I still haven't recovered all the points I lost from the last one. Let's go on to another one. White to move. Okay, I do have some checks, which that one doesn't look good, because they would just take with their king. I can check down here, but I don't think that looks good because they could take with either their king or their queen. I could check here on g7, but I think they would just take with their king, and I don't have a good follow-up. However, if I push this pawn forward, which is a threat, I should have looked at captures first, and I just realized my rook is hanging. Okay, well, what if I push this pawn up? Now I'm threatening checkmate. Do they have any way out of that? I don't think they have any way out of that. Wait, they could put their knight right here, which guards that checkmating square. So if I pushed this pawn, I think they would have to ignore the rook that they could capture for free, and I think they would have to put the knight on f5, guarding g7, so I couldn't checkmate there. And if they did that, then I would have to decide whether it was better to take back with the rook or the pawn, or maybe it wouldn't matter. And maybe it would. Is that the best move, though? Is there anything else? I don't need to threaten their queen. I mean, if they take it, I don't think that changes anything. I would still have this. Okay, so what can they do to stop that besides giving away their knight? I mean, they could come up here with their queen, but that would be too late. They can't move the rook, so the king is trapped. Well, we'll find out in a second if this is right or wrong. I'm going to play it. Oh, and it stopped there. Okay. And I think I'm still a point or two lower than I got with this puzzle. No, I got to 1936. I'm still 4 points lower than I was before I made the mistake. I think I have time for one more. Let's do that. And hopefully I will get this one right and we'll end up higher than my peak in the middle. Okay, I'm playing with the white pieces. It looks like we're about even on material, but they're getting close to something here. Not quite checkmate there because I would block, but then they would have checkmate here. So they're 2 moves away from checkmate. If I did something silly like pushing a pawn, pretty sure they're going to check me and I have to block, and then they're going to checkmate me. So mate in 2 if I don't do something. Well, let's look at our checks. I have a check with the rook. Wait, is that just mate? No, it's not, because they would block with the pawn. Okay, I have other checks too. Like I have a check here, I have a check here, but I think both of those cases, the queen gets lost. I also have this check with the rook, but I think that loses as well. So what about this d6 check, rook to d6 check? It can't come out because my other rook is cutting off this whole file. And they can't block with their rook or their queen or their other rook because rooks and queens don't move that way. So I think they have to block with the pawn, g6. And then if I check on f8, is that mate? I think this is a mate in 2. What else? Okay, I got to check though. What else can they do here? Oh, they could block with the queen. I mean, I don't think that's good, but they could block with the queen. So it's not a mate in 2. It'll be a mate in 3 if the computer plays their best move, I think. But I think besides that, their only other legal move would be pushing this pawn, and then that's mate. Oh, fingers crossed. Let's try it. Oh, and it stopped. That must be because they have multiple moves here. But surely one of them delays mate longer. Oh, that's 1 point higher than my center peak. Okay. I want to check real quick on the analysis board that they had 2 legal moves. Yeah, the queen to e6 was the best. Okay. Because it delays mate 1 move longer, and I would just take it. That's just why the puzzle didn't go on, because I have 2 moves that are very similar to each other, because I could take either way. If I took with the queen and they blocked with g6, then I would just take g6 with this rook. And when they took back, I would take here and that would be mate. Or slightly faster is what I said, which is just taking, then they have to play g6, and I was correct about this. Okay, thank you as always for spending your time here. I think I understood everything in this video, even the one that I missed. After I looked at the analysis board, I think it explained it to me. As I've been doing lately, I'll put the ID numbers of these puzzles in the description because YouTube doesn't like me putting chess.com links. They've threatened to ban my account for putting links to chess.com. I have no idea why. They refuse to explain it to me, but they haven't had any problem with me putting the puzzle ID numbers in there, which of course you could use in a web browser to see those actual puzzles. I know some of you like to work the puzzles on your own. So anyway, I do that for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.